our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the news cycle on Global TV, live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Chidima Jawasin. A heavy-duty truck carrying bottled water has crashed at Hawan Kibo on the Jos-Abuja highway in a lone accident, leaving scores of motorists and commuters stranded in a gridlock. Mr. Peter Longsan, the public education officer of the Plateau Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps, confirmed the development in Jos. Longsan said that the accident occurred at 4 p.m., adding that the tanker fell crossing the highway, blocking both lanes. Mr. Mohammed Suleiman, an eyewitness to the scene of the accident, who was on his way to Abuja from Jos, said the commuters had been stranded there for hours without movement from both sides of the road. However, he noted that hope for the stranded passengers seemed to be in sight as officials of the FRSC were mobilizing to the area to remove the vehicles and ease the gridlock. In a mood of celebration, as President Bola Tinubu celebrates with former President Muhammadu Buhari on his 81st birthday, the President, in a statement issued by his special advisor on media and publicity, Chief Ajuri Ngalale, described his predecessor as an icon of truth, justice, and patriotism. President Tinubu extolled the leadership credentials and feats of the former president, recalling his meritorious service to the nation at various times as head of state and as president. President Tinubu appreciated former President Buhari for his friendship and vote of confidence shown through his stalwart support for the administration. While wishing the elder statesman longevity and strength, President Tinubu assured the former president that the hope of a prosperous, peaceful and progressive Nigeria, which he has always worked for, will not be dashed. Away from the presidency, the Supreme Court has upheld the federal government's appeal challenging the verdict of the appeal court, which dismissed the charges against Nnamdi Kanu. In a holding was held that Kanu must face trial at the Federal High Court. Shauna J. has this report.
Thus, by Justice Garba Lawal, held that the Court of Appeal was wrong to rule that Kanu could not be tried again, based on the illegality perpetrated against him by the federal government, following the invasion of his home. Also, the court held that although the Nigerian government was reckless and unlawfully rendered Kanu from Kenya, such unlawful act has not divested any court from proceeding with trial. Justice Lawal said that no Nigerian law was cited in the suit.
What the Supreme Court says represents the law. We respect it. We go by it. There is no other way. We had hoped that it would come our way, but it has gone the other way. It simply means that we have to go back to the High Court and get done with this quickly.
According to the court, at the moment, the remedy for such an action is for Kanu to file a civil matter against the act, instead of removing the powers of the court to continue with his trial for alleged criminal charges. The Apex Court subsequently ordered that Kanu should go and defend himself in the remaining 7 counts of terrorism charges against him.
But I'm very consoled by what the Supreme Court said, that he ought not to have been treated the way he was treated. His bail ought not to have been revoked. His home ought to have been invaded.
Since June 2021, when for Global TV News.
Amid the festering political crisis in Rivers State, the National Coordinator on South-South Leadership Forum, Chief Anab Sarah Igbe, for the crisis in the state escalated to the level it currently is. He said it took the intervention of some People's Democratic Party's leaders to prevail on him to shelve the idea. Sarah Igbe, a former spokesperson for the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, said the governor opted to resign because, apart from the way forces above him prevented him from asserting his independence, he didn't have enough control over the state's funds and had difficulty running his government. Away from Rivers State, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has approved 35 wage award for the state public servants. This was just as he also approved the payment of 50% of basic salary as an end-of-year bonus for all political appointees and public servants, employees of local government and local council development areas, Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board, and the Lagos Neighborhood Safety Corps. The approval was contained in a circular obtained and signed by the Lagos State Head of Service, Bode Agoro. The statement further noted that the end-of-year bonus and the wage award, which would be paid alongside December 2023 salary, would be non-taxable. In the meantime, the Kogi State House of Assembly on Saturday re-invited the Ministry of Solid Mineral to appear before it next Tuesday to defend her 2024 budget estimate. Also re-invited to appear urgently, the Chairman House Standing Committee on Solid Minerals, Honorable Omotayo Adeleye Ishaya, gave the directive at the Assembly complex following the absence of the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry and the Director General of the agency. The committee Vice Chairman Honorable Jibril Abil, who is the current lawmaker representing Ajaokuta State constituency, lamented that if Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello can shut down all his engagements to appear before the hallowed chamber to present the state, he sees no reason why some heads of MDAs would ignore invitation by various House committees to defend their next year budget. Meanwhile, the Enugu state government says it will reopen one lane of the Enugu-Port Harcourt Express collapsed bridge for use by December 24th. The State Commissioner for Works, Gerald Otiji, disclosed at a State Executive Council meeting held at the Government House in Enugu State. Governor Peter Mba of Enugu had on November 9th announced that the federal government would commence the reconstruction work on the collapsed bridge. Mba noted that the reconstruction would begin with palliative work on the one lane of the bridge that was standing to ensure it was ready for use within the next 10 days. Speaking, Otiji said the Federal Ministry of Works is reconstructing the Artisan Cattle Market Bridge in collaboration with the Enugu State Ministry of Works. The Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, James Lalu, has appealed for a coherent, consistent, ordered service delivery in dealing with persons with disabilities in Nigeria. Lalu urged the minister to extend the same measures of understanding and opportunity to other institutions under his purview, such as the Nigerian Immigration Service, as Section 26 of the Act is, in accessing government services as obtaining international passports and other amenities pose a big challenge to PWDs. The minister stated that nation building is a joint task, hence the Federal Ministry of Interior is open to partnership with the Commission in order to achieve. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, has debunked reports of fresh outbreak at WHO. The surveillance officer, while giving her presentation on the epidemiology of COVID-19 in Benue 2023 cycle live from Nigeria's capital Abuja, Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When the new cycle returns, Assembly targets a 20% contribution of the maritime sector to the country's gross domestic product in 2024. The news continues shortly with details of these and more stories right after this break. Please stay with us. This is Global Television bringing you live. This is Global Television bringing you live updates of the news cycle. Thank you for staying with us. The First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has urged the wives of state governors to complement President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda for good governance to spread across the board. She gave the admonition while receiving the wives of governors across the nation and the FCT representative in the presidential villa yesterday. She stated that it was imperative for state leaders, especially those in opposition parties, to work with the presidential agenda in tackling issues affecting the citizenry. The First Lady lauded the wives of governors for their personal projects and initiatives in their various states to assist the vulnerable in society. And on the business news, the National Assembly said it is targeting a 20% contribution of the maritime in 2024. The chairman of the Abdulsamad Dasuki stated this in Lagos at a special performance retreat organized by the Nigerian Shippers Council. The retreat was themed Strengthening Economy, that the sector, which was expected to deliver nothing less than 20%, was currently contributing less than 1%. Still on business, the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation (NDIC) has announced the disbursement of more than 1.7 billion naira to customers affected by the revocation of licenses of microfinance banks and 4 primary mortgage banks. Speaking at the 2023 NDIC Editors Forum in Lagos, Mr. Bello Hassan, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NDIC, revealed that the payments were made following the revocation of licenses by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, earlier this year, affecting 183 institutions comprising microfinance banks and primary mortgage banks. He highlighted that insured deposits represent the initial claim paid to depositors by NDIC and 500,000 naira per depositors per bank for the MFB and PNB subsectors respectively. And now we move on. Saying the Israeli army said it is investigating the killing of 3 hostages which it said had been mistakenly identified as a threat by soldiers, an incident that sparked protests in Tel Aviv. The military said Yotam Haim, Alon Shamris and Samar El Talaka, all in their 20s, were shot during operations in Gaza City. They were among about 250 people taken hostage during Hamas' October 7 attacks in Israel, which killed around 1,140 people, mostly civilians, according to Israeli figures. The had started reviewing the incident and that immediate lessons from the event have been learned and passed on to all troops on the ground. Benjamin Netanyahu described their deaths as an unbearable tragedy. President Bola Tinubu and Mercy, who granted amnesty to political prisoners and dissidents, while praying to Almighty Allah to show the Emir mercy and grant him a place in Al-Jannah Firdaus. Moving on to sports, Chelsea Football Club earned all 3 points in a Premier League encounter at home against Sheffield United on Saturday. The Blues were able to bounce back from last week's 2-0 loss to Everton at Goodison Park. Mauricio Pochettino's Chargers cruised to a 2-0 win. National Anti-Doping Organization could have significant repercussions for Nigerian boxing. WADA, in a recent statement, revealed that they would be taking Nigeria to the Court of Arbitration for Sport over non-compliance. WADA's contention revolves around Nigeria's failure to address critical requirements following an audit conducted in late 2022. Despite Nigeria's disputing WADA's allegation, the impending decision by CEO Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Chidima Jawasin, thanking you so very much for watching. I'll see you again.